today, our main subject, and that is Hideo Kojima.
Mm-hmm.
And our main subject is the continued brilliance of Kojima.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to kind of go through not really his timeline, I guess, but we're going to go through some of his early games and then where he he rose up to pretty much being able to put just his name on a
Yep.
game and you knew it was going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's go through a few things. All right, Kojima was born on August 24th, 1963 in Setagaya, Tokyo, in Japan. Let me pull up an image real quick.
You go pull up a map of Tokyo.
What's that?
You go pull up a map of Tokyo.
No, I'm just going to pull him up. Why would I pull up a map of Tokyo?
I don't know, because you sounded like because you said he was born in Tokyo.
Oh, you thought I was about to go with my experience in Japan, huh?
I thought you were about to get real technical with me. I didn't know how the story was going to go.
Yeah, I did spend 6 years in Japan.
You did. I thought you were about to give me like a timeline, like a whole.
I'm not going through his entire history, dude.
I was about to play some
That
music in
would
the
take
background.
like 3 hours.
Get some background music.
No background music. All right, but let's talk his early life when he worked at Konami on the MSX. He worked on games for the MSX. You remember the MSX?
Yep.
Let's pull up a picture of that. This was, let's see, MSX. Here it is. Well, this is an X2. Let me pull up the actual one. Here it is. So this was an MSX. This was before the NES, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right before the NES.
This was in the void of. This was in the void of trying to find something that worked. This is what that was.
But it was okay. It was more of a computer, entertainment system. I guess
they always did it right. They did it right in Japan between the Atari and NES because we kept coming out with Pong consoles. That's what we did. That's what America did. They were coming out with like actual computer consoles.
But this is one of the first games he ever worked on, Penguin Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny about this game is that it actually has, for the time, it actually has pretty in-depth RPG mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
Like this game. Back before we even knew what RPG mechanics were in video games. This one actually had it. And this is one of the main games he worked on. One of his first games he worked on. And then in 1987, he started working on the game that everyone knows about, Metal Gear. Well, the series everyone knows about is Metal Gear Solid.
That thing's got 1 megabit of ROM.
It was Metal Gear back then. So let me share this real quick. All right. So Metal Gear. Yeah. He was asked from his work at the MSX, and all that stuff. He started to get his name known, and then they hired him on as a lead for Metal Gear and other projects concerning this. And he also worked on, I think, the what was it? In 1988, Snatcher. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Snatcher was a it was kind of like Blade Runner. It was a cyberpunk game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll pull up a picture of that too. But it was a cyberpunk game back then. Let me see if I have it. Yeah, old school animation, dude. But anyway, so he worked on Snatcher, which was also, it was a cyberpunk theme, and he did Metal Gear 2 also. This was between 90 and 94, and he did Police Knots. Now, this is before he was, big time. Like, before his name was known, when he could slap his name on a game and everyone was like, oh, I'm buying that.
I want to say something real quick. Go back to that one picture. Go back to that picture of Metal Gear.
This one?
I was trying to send it to you so you can pull it up. But so look at that cover. Who is that on that cover?
That's Mel Gibson, dude.
It's not Mel Gibson. That's Kyle Reese from Terminator.
What?
That's Kyle Reese from Terminator. That's the same pose. It's the same pose from Terminator.
All right, I want to tell you something here. All right, if you look at the character, like the actual characters in Metal Gear, and you look at their cartoon pictures within the game, they are almost exact, I'd say, real face, of course, animated faces of real actors. There's one guy in Metal Gear that's actually looks like Sean Connery. Like click that just link. Like him.
Click that link I sent you, so you can pull it up. You could pull it up and then scroll down a little bit. It's the side by side. It's an exact copy. Like it's from Terminator. Is where they took
Oh
that from.
yeah. It's pretty close. All right. Anyway, so let's go. So let's go into this. All right. So Metal Gear Solid was, or just Metal Gear at the time, was really good, and then he came Solid Snake. Now, Solid Snake, what Kojima's, I guess, what is it? Who he formed Solid Snake after was pretty obvious. You ever seen those escape movies, right?
Yeah.
With Kurt Russell.
Escape from L.A. Yep.
Yeah, just like him. I mean, he literally almost looks just like him. So that's kind of where he got the Solid Snake design from. What was his name? Oh, Snake Plissken from Escape from like L.A. and all that stuff from Kurt Russell. Looks pretty much almost accurate. But that's where
How
he
did they
got
not get sued
the
for
idea
that?
from.
How did they not get sued for that cover? I mean, that's literally, they took that from Terminator.
No. So anyway, this was Metal Gear Solid 2 and Police Knots. Let me pull up Police Knots right now. Police Knots. Here it is. This is great. This is another cyberpunk game. So anyway, so he was known for this. Do you remember the Zone of the Enders?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
RPG? Like kind of robot RPG?
Yep.
That was really good. But he also designed that. But anyway, so he had Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear Solid 2 2 and Police Knots. Now, when he started to become big was between 94 and 2012. This is his money making years. This is where you would get your mainline Metal Gears that we know, like Phantom Pain, Metal Gear Solid 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Metal Gear Solid was probably the one that shot him into the stratosphere.
Yeah, it got his name known. So let's go to Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation. So when he first made the first Metal Gear, the MSX could not hold, like, it was very, I guess, narrow what the capabilities was, like when it came to doing combat on the screen. So he decided to do more of a tactical type combat, and this is where it came from. Like, kind of due to the limitations of the MSX, this is where he made the game into more of a tactical espionage. And then we got into like the mainline Metal Gear Solid starting in the mid 90s. And this is where it really put Kojima on the map, where he could put his name on games. And you knew with his name on a game, now that is a game I'm going to buy. And going forward, he did the same thing.
I remember when this game came out, it was always between, everybody was like, which is the better game, this or Siphon Filter?
Yeah. I was always Metal Gear, dude. I love these games. Sons of Liberty was great. Then you went on to Metal Gear 3, Snake Eater. I think this is one they're remaking, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, this is one they're remaking. This was a great one. And then this one, he actually, the next one, Metal Gear Solid 4, was actually, I think he got death threats over this one, the Guns of the Patriots. He got death threats over it due to the setting and everything like it that was in the game. His life was threatened through this, and his response was, "I'm going to continue making Metal Gear Solid games."
Yeah. Why were they trying to threaten his life?
I think it's because of the country that it was in. Like,
I see.
Yeah, and individuals from this specific country threatened his life because of the light he portrayed them in. But it's a video game, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we go into Metal Gear Solid 5. Phantom Pain. This is one of my favorite games of all time.
It's a good game.
This game was fantastic. But anyway, you also have, I think we skipped one, but it was Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. That game was just crazy, dude. You ever played that game?
Yeah.
Here, let me pull up a picture of it. This game, dude, insane. Like, the combat in it, dude, is just way over the top. The characters are way over the top. Great game, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he made his name through a lot of things when it came to Metal Gear and how he designed his games. But to me, like the thing that really put him over the top was Phantom Pain. I mean, don't I'm not trying to disregard like all his other ones before that because they were all fantastic. But to really cement his legacy, Phantom Pain, I think was it. And then he goes on later, a few years after that, to go into Death Stranding.
So he started getting into like using like real celebrities.
Yeah, real celebrities, motion capture, all that. But just an insanely beautiful game.
It's a
Like
great game.
everything about it.
It's I don't know how I feel about Death Stranding. It wasn't it was a good looking game. It was just so confusing. Like it's just weird to me. Like I don't know. You have to. It wasn't my game.
So it's very slow at the beginning.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's sluggish and this is
very beautiful game at the beginning, but it's very slow. You just have to play it a little bit longer because you're escorting certain like supplies and stuff through this kind of I want to say wasteland, but you're escorting and these shadow things come after you, but it's very slow at the beginning. It eventually picks up though, and it becomes legit. Well, they have Death Stranding 2 here that he's working on currently coming out here. I think it's called On the Beach or something like that. Here, let me pull it up.
On the beach.
On the beach.
There's gonna be Death Stranding 3 on the moon.
On the moon. But no, this is his next project that he's currently working on. Have you seen the trailer for it?
I tell you what, I've never seen a character like Norman Reedus ride the Daryl Dixon fame for as long as you're talking about. Well, maybe Luke Skywalker, because I mean he just looks like that one.
He has a series out right now called
That's what I'm saying.
Walking Dead Daryl Dixon.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like you remember he was like this old redneck meth guy. Him and his brother were like the meth.
Well, see, that's the thing. His character got popular, dude.
That's what I'm saying. Like you would never thought because this is when I first saw him and I was like, man, that's the guy from Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's it. Yep. That's the only thing I didn't know him from anything else. I didn't watch any of his other movies. I was knowing him from the Boondock Saints. But his character got then him and his brother showed up on the Walking Dead, and they're all like looking for meth and crack and just the drug addicts and stuff like that. But he was badass because he's the only one that had a crossbow.
Yeah. But anyway, so to kind of not wrap it up, dude, you remember the Famicom disc system?
The Famicom disc system? No.
Yeah, it was before the Nintendo. It was something they did it was a computer, it had the floppy disk or whatever like that. Here, let me show you. This is the Famicom computer disc system.
Yeah,
this
I
was
remember
during
saying
the MSX time. It wasn't, it was kind of, I would say, I mean, it did fail, but like eventually the actual NES came out. Yeah. And that's kind of, what they went with from there.
We had a Tandy 1000. That's the only thing I remember. Tandy 1000 playing King's Quest.
Yeah. And then the MSX2 came out shortly in like the mid 80s. Let me show you that one. This one, I didn't know they made a second one. I knew about the first one. Here, let me see if I can find it. MXX2. Here it is. It looks almost just like the first one. I mean, that was it. Personal computer entertainment system.
But they did it way better. If that would have came out in America, first of all, the thing would have been made out of wood because that's what they all were, and then it would have had like Pong.
Oh, that wood grain.
Yeah, they all had wood grain.
Yeah,
everything had wood grain then.
Yep. Dude, the games that came out on these systems, like the MSX, the artwork was fantastic. I don't think I pulled any for it, but like that old school 80s fantasy artwork, like we talked about on the last podcast.
They had original games, man.
They had fantastic artwork for their games, for the MSX games.
I mean, you gotta think about this. Like when they came out in Japan, like they had all their games were original. Like this is what killed the video games in America in the 80s was because every time like ColecoVision and all these other things came out, they had like so many like Space Invaders games. It's the same game, just to call it Star Invader. You know what I mean? And then they had like 6 versions of Pitfall and Centipede and Millipede and Pac-Man and all this other thing. And it was just the same things. So like every system had the same games. That's what killed it.
So after Snatcher, he came out with this SD Snatcher, which was a chibi version of it.
Chibi,
yeah. And he came up with this one. I think this was on the MSX too. So, but anyway, so Kojima. When we think of Kojima now, like if I'm seeing a game that's coming out and it has Kojima's name on it, I'm getting it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean, think about the brilliance of him, of the Metal Gears, and like even some of the games like off-brand stuff away from the Metal Gears. I mean, like the dude's a genius, and and he posts a lot, like him working on Death Stranding too.
Yeah,
like everything they kind of post some of the motion capture and like how he does certain things, and he's playing games on I would say a console that he has covered up, so people don't know what he's playing.
But he's also extremely hands-on. Like you don't see people of his stature probably not as hands-on anymore. They probably have underlings.
He was involved with the Silent Hill too, like Silent Hill projects.
Yeah,
he was involved in that,
of course,
and many other things. But like Kojima, dude, like
he took horror to he took the
Zone of Enders was great. I really liked those games. And horror, yeah, and
he took the survival horror to the next level with Silent Hill, man, because that was crazy.
He has one coming out that he's also in develop called I forget what it's called, like OD or something like that. That's all it's called, OD, like the letters OD.
Uh-oh.
I think that might be the project name, but it is going to be a horror game that he's working on too. That's in development.
Over Death.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, let me go through some of these games he's made. Let's go down the list. All right, so we already talked about Penguin's Adventure, and 87 Metal Gear, 88 Snatcher, 90 Metal Gear Solid 2, or excuse me, Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, 94. No, actually, that same year in 90, he made a SD Snatcher. He was the writer for that. 94 Police Knots, 97. He did some memorial drama series called Tokimeki. He did that in 2 years in a row. Then he did Metal Gear Solid. He did 98 to 2002. He was the Beat Mania console ports. Then in 99, he did Tokimeki again, another volume 3. And he did more Beat Mania stuff in the early 2000s. 2000, he also had Metal Gear Ghost Babel. 2001, Zone of Enders. Those were great. And then Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty in 2001. 2003, Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hand. He was a producer and game designer for that. Then Zone of Enders, the second runner. 2004, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes. Boktai 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. 2005, Shin Bakura no Tayo. I don't know what game that is. Metal Gear Acid 2, Lunar Nights, Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. Then he went into Super Smash Brothers. He was a stage designer for that. I mean, golly. And then
Can you imagine if a game, if he would have teamed up with a Akira Toriyama?
Dude. Then he did Metal Gear Solid Mobile Supervisor, Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, director, producer, game designer, and writer for that. Metal Gear Online, 12 Tender Killers. Let's see.
Metal Gear Online.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid Touch, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker in 2010. He worked on Castlevania Lords of Shadows. I actually wanted to talk about that earlier.
Yeah,
but he was part of that. He was the executive producer for that. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance in 2013. 2014, Metal Gear Solid 5, Ground Zeroes. Director, producer, game designer, writer. 2015, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. And then he goes on 2019, Death Stranding. And then currently 2025, Death Stranding 2. I mean, the dude is a legend.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Of course.
The guy's a legend. If I see his name on a game, I'm buying it.
Yeah.
And that's all it comes down to. I will be playing Death Stranding 2. and Snake, the revamp of Snake Eater 2. I'll be playing that, and whatever game he's going to come out with next after Death Stranding 2, I'm probably going to buy it. That's all there is to it.
He might walk off into the sunset. He might say, "This is all I got. I'm done."
One of these years he might, but I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't. At least not for at least another 10 years. We need another legit Metal Gear.
You know what
game.
though? You know what? Midway should have did that after Mortal Kombat 2. Instead, they came out with Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero.
Yeah,
So this is what happens. Sometimes you stay in the game a little too long, and then
it's true.
you start throwing a junk. What they say is a pitcher. It's like when you're a pitcher, you know.
What
It's
is
like
your favorite Kojima game that
Metal
you
Gear
ever
Solid. Metal Gear Solid.
like
Easily.
The first one
Yeah,
or
it's my favorite one. Yeah.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid was good. I got to go with Phantom Pain. I love Phantom Pain, man. I played that game so much.
Like I'm not like a huge one of those like. It's different for you because you've been in the tactical warfare, so you like all the tactical stuff. Like I'm not much of a tactical guy, but like I thought Metal Gear Solid and Siphon Filter at that time was cool because you can actually like hide and sneak and
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like all that stuff was cool. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That was good.
Phantom Pain was great because of the more of the coordination with like your outside elements that are part of your team.
Hmm.
Like you had Quiet as your sniper too. You could call in support. And you yourself could snipe far away. It was just so cool, dude. Such a great game. But yeah, I'd say Phantom Pain is mine. Uh, I did like Zone of the Enders. I thought those were cool RPGs back then. And Death Stranding, I do like Death Stranding. It just
Silent Hill.
it took
Silent
me a
Hill.
while. Yeah, Silent Hill, of course. But Death Stranding just took me a while to get into. But I did like it. I ended up really enjoying the game towards the end.
Silent Hill was iconic because at that time survival horror was still fairly new, you know, or newish, I should say.
Yeah.
Um, but he took it to a whole different level because, like in Resident Evil, you knew you'd find bullets, and you knew that you would go. And the zombies were probably in a room, yada, or maybe not. And Silent Hill, he took the horror to a different level. It was, you saw the monsters that nowadays it probably wouldn't be as scary, because you've seen just about everything now. But then the way that you remember how the monsters like moved and stuff, how they just had that weird movement.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah,
freaky, dude.
yeah, it was freaky. You know what I'm saying? Like today, it's probably not as freaky as it would because you've probably seen so much more stuff. But like knowing that you have like a flashlight, you have like that bat with the nail in it, you have like your gun has like 3 bullets, whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, you know what I mean? Um, and like it was just weird. The pyramid head guy, what is it? A pyramid head or whatever he's called, pyramid face. I don't know what his
Uh-huh.
name is. But yeah, man, it was incredible.
Yep. But yeah, big salute to this dude.
Oh yeah.
He really, I mean, at the same time, with all these game releases too, we talk about many of them, but like those games redefined, I would say, the genre that they were in, and they also help, I guess, influence a lot of games going forward too. Because I mean, the Metal Gear series is just fantastic.
They should cast you in the next Metal Gear.
They should.
I'm gonna hit him up and tell him I got somebody for him.
You got somebody? Yeah.
You know what I'm telling.
Good. I'd be perfect motion capture, dude. You know how many people buy that game
Oh
with me in it?
shit.
With that beard?
Oh man. They're gonna tell you to shave your beard. You're like,
I
no.
wouldn't do it then.
You're gonna lose all your powers.
Yeah. My beard powers. All right, but yeah, all right. Kojima, the legend.
And it would be the
Dude's
worst game.
awesome.
And it'd be